For some more analysis, I'm joined here on the set by France 24 International Affairs editor Douglas Herbert. Doug, Trump in rally mode here, but a really kind of triumphal rally mode, not holding back. What stood out in this speech to you?
What stood out is often presidents who've recently flushed from an election victory, especially a very polarized election, might be in mode where they're trying to sort of heal divisions within America. That is, do the sort of outreach that they perhaps didn't do as much during the campaign itself. We didn't see that here. We did see these bore all the hallmarks of, like you said, like the Trump rallies during the heart of his campaign. He boasted of what he called a Trump effect. That's in quotes, Trump effect, meaning that he already saw signs that his policies, even before his statements, even before taking office, the effect of his win, the reverberations from it are already having an effect, improving the state of the country. We heard a lot of familiar pledges, such as vowing to end the war in Ukraine quickly. He's said 24 hours in the past. He also said that he conveyed to Putin conveyed to him that he's ready to meet with him as soon as possible. Whether or not, we haven't heard back from the Kremlin on that. Look, we heard his pronouncements on transgender. These have been longstanding conservative value MAGA policies. Basically, the official policy of the U.S. government from day one of a Trump administration would be there are two genders, man, woman. There is no nuance or room for ambiguity in between them. We've also heard on the border. He called it. He talks in terms of everything is in the biggest, the best ever in the history of us. So this would be the biggest deportation order he said he would sign in the history of America. It's always the longest one. The crackdown on the borders. He also took aim at the Panama Canal's fees, the fees that Panama charges the United States, saying that they are absolutely ridiculous. He called them a giant ripoff to the United States. He would presumably do something to take aim at Panama if it continued to charge these very high fees for passage through the Panama Canal.
He said he might take it back.
And even hints that he would like to perhaps try to take it back. This was a speech, though, bombastic. Like I said, hallmarks of Trump rally speeches, full of praise for himself, full of false claims, false assertions. Not my opinion saying false assertions, factually false assertions, and also withering attacks on anyone that he sees as having either wronged him or that he outrightly sees as an enemy.
Meanwhile, of course, Trump continuing to put together his incoming administration, filling some top picks in the administration, specifically at the Pentagon.
Yeah. You said that so neutrally, Brian. Now let me add a little bit of the less neutral nuance to it. His picks right now, he's had a lot of controversy, to put it mildly, around his picks, because his picks so far have been extreme loyalists, and many of them have been billionaires. I think he has more billionaires in his inner circle and not so inner circle than any other administration in modern American history. His pick now for Deputy Secretary of Defense, remember, his Secretary of Defense pick, Pete Hegseth, is a man already under a cloud of controversy. He has been accused at various times of sexual assault. He's been accused of alcoholism. He's been accused of mismanagement of a nonprofit company, so on and so forth. He obviously defends himself against these, and he may even get through because he seems to be in recent days rallying more and more support from Republicans who in the beginning might have been inclined to turn against him, to vote him down. So that is the actual Secretary of Defense pick. But the man who will be reporting to him, right under him, a man named Stephen Feinberg. It's okay if our viewers have never heard of him. Most people have probably never heard of him unless they follow American, hedge fund management. He is the basically billionaire co-founder of a private equity firm in the United States, Cerberus Capital Management. American people in the industry know it very well, and he is someone who is prominently not just a billionaire, executive, founder of a big company, but he is also a prominent financier of the Trump campaign. He was played a big role as a donor in funding the Trump presidential campaign. So you say, well, what's wrong with that? Presidents all the time appoint people, surround themselves with people who are sort of friendly or gave them money during the campaign. Some people are uncomfortable with how many billionaires there are right next to him. And finally, he has someone else. There were 4 picks, but I'll just also point out that Michael Duffy, the man who is for Undersecretary for Acquisitions and Sustainment. I know it's an esoteric title, but it is a senior position in the Pentagon, Acquisitions and Sustainment, because it's tied to Ukraine. And this is a man who signally what he's known for. He asked the Pentagon at one point to freeze $250 million in scheduled military aid to Kiev. And this had come right on the heels of that famous phone call between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky, in which Trump allegedly asked Zelensky to investigate his political rival at the time, Joe Biden, and subsequently this led to Trump's first of 2 impeachments.
So some more controversial picks
Yeah.
there coming out. And against this backdrop, we're seeing an increasing push by Trump and his allies to fight what they see as adversarial coverage from the media.
Very careful here, right? You don't want to overblow the Trump crackdown on the media, right? Journalists right now are taking a very delicate balance here, right? The fine balance is between, they're apprehensive, they're fearful, and at the same time they know they have to do their job, so they're just trying to get in position. We have seen in recent days, recent weeks, basically ABC News, one of the most prominent news organizations in the United States, settle a defamation lawsuit brought by Donald Trump because one of their presenters had said that Trump had been charged with rape. He had actually been convicted in a criminal lawsuit of sexual misconduct, not of rape. So the presenter misspoke. But ABC was very quick to settle, paid out $15 million, money which will go towards a Trump library of some kind, presidential library or other facility. So ABC's come under fire. Did they settle too quickly? Should they have been maybe defend themselves better, or are they trying to protect themselves in a more fearful era under Trump? Also, Trump and his allies, a cascade of lawsuits now coming down against media outlets and one prominent pollster, the pollster in Iowa for the Des Moines Register. You know this case during the campaign. It was a poll which, yes, got it wrong. Pollsters sometimes get it wrong. This was a very well-known pollster who said basically that Kamala Harris was leading by a substantial margin in Iowa, notably usually a state Trump had been expected to win, didn't.
Surprising.
He's suing the newspaper and the pollster. So this is a big deal. Journalists are right now on edge, on guard, but they say they're going to do their job of reporting and holding presidents accountable.
All right. France 24 International Affairs editor Douglas Herbert, thanks so much for that analysis.